Hello everybody, Sandra here from Createinspain. Today I'm using Procreate. Now what I want to do is to show you how useful Procreate can be, even if you wouldn't class yourself as an artist or an artisty type. If you are trying to do anything at all which is going to be printed out, then Procreate may well be very useful. So what I want to be able to show you is how to do something like this type of thing. It may look complicated with the ribbon going through the letters and things, but it really isn't. This would only take you a couple of minutes to do. So what I'm going to do is to give you the basic tools to be able to create this. Now, you don't have to go through it all. Go through until you get the bit that you want to do, then you can stop. Or you can watch the whole thing all the way through. It's entirely up to you. But I am warning you, this is probably going to be a long video. So I'm going to take this nice and slow. This isn't for people who are used to art apps, who know what they're doing. This is for beginners. So all I need you to be able to do to follow this is to open up Procreate, know how to open and create a document, and basically just know how to scribble. So I want to open up a square, and I want it to be 2048 by 2048 pixels. This is my standard brush blank. Now, if I click on the plus here, you can see that I have a template here. To create a template, you click on here, you put in your dimensions, and then you click on create, and it creates it, and you can add a name to it, all right? So that's how you do that bit. I have one here, so I tap it and open it up. Now I want to change my color to white. There we are. When I go tap on my brush, I can see what brush I have selected. I want to go to my favorites because I just want a plain monoline. This is one I think that came with Procreate. There are a lot of brushes already on Procreate for you to use. So I've got a monoline and I've got it set to the maximum size because it's not a very thick brush. If you want to do a symmetrical pattern, if you tap on the wrench on the left hand side here and you go to canvas, you will find you have drawing guides. You can switch on the drawing guide, you click on edit, and you can then edit your drawing guide. I'm going to cancel it because I don't want it. And go back into canvas and switch off the drawing guide. Do not want it. Also, in your layers, if you have drawing assist on, you will get drawing assist written in that little blue layer there. So I'm just going to draw a straight line, and I'm not going to draw a straight line because this will sort it out for me automatically. If I draw a line and hold it, it will make it straight, and then I can wiggle it from side to side depending on what I want to do. I'm just going to let go there, I'm going to go roughly there, and do the same thing. I'll do nicely. Now if I want to move it around, click on the selection arrow here, and then I can move it up and down, center it if I want to. Now in this particular case, I'm just going to draw some very rough arrows. This is what I want as my brush or my stamped image. If I was to just tap on a new page with this, I'll get one of these, okay? And that creates a nice stamped image. So I'll go to the wrench, tap on add, and go to copy. Now I go up to my brushes, and I decide where I want this to go, and I want to put it under objects. So I tap on objects, tap on the plus, and this brings up my brush studio. Ignore what is there, that's just a standard brush. So I'm going to go down to shape, I'll go to edit, go to import, whoops, and go to paste, and lo and behold, got it. And then you want to tap on done. And for some reason it takes 2 taps. I don't know why, it wouldn't work on 1 tap. So go up to the top and we've got stroke path. Now at the moment the spacing is only 17%. If I slide this up, you'll be able to see the design I've got. It's not very bright at the moment. I will correct that in a second or two. So you have the spacing, you have jitter. Jitter is if you want it to be in a straight line or not, or whether you want them to move around like that. Alright. And fall off is whether you want them to tail off into nothing as you draw your stroke. I don't want to mess around with that. Stabilization. You can streamline. This is what you might want if you're trying to draw nice smooth curves. Tapering is, well, pretty standard. It's tapering the stroke at the beginning and at the end. Again, I'm not going to go into that at the moment. The shape is the one that we just did. Now we also have a scatter in here, which basically alters your pattern a little bit. You can see it moving. And you have rotation. So at the moment, you notice all these shapes are in the same rotation. If I move this, they rotate. And if I click on randomized, some of them rotate just random. Grain I'm not going to do just at this moment, again with rendering and wet mix. Color dynamics. Now this is an interesting one because if I go to a set color, for example, I'll go for pink. So tapping on here you can see pink. If I change any of these things, they will alter the color. Now if you're using an Apple Pencil, if you slide these along, you can get different color effects. So it will change color according to the pressure that is put on. Okay, so that's what that is. I'm just going to pop these back to what they were. This is why this is not fully opaque. The pressure is affecting the opacity. Now I do not want the pressure to affect the opacity, so I'm going to put that down to 0. And then when I do this, they are all the same opacity. They are fully opaque. They are not transparent at all. Properties. Use stamp preview. If I click on this one, when I go to my stamp preview, it will show just one single shape. If I don't, it shows what it's like if I'm doing a line of it. Okay, so maximum size at the moment is on 100%, but you can put this up even bigger if you want to. Materials is for 3D stuff, don't worry about that at the moment. And then you have about this brush, you can put made by and then create a new reset point. So I'm going to put CIS for createinspain, and I'm going to put create a new reset point and save it. Now the reset point means that whatever settings that I've put this on in the first place is saved. And if I open the brush and then close the brush again, unless I save different settings, it will go back to what it was. So click on done. Oh, hang on, I haven't named it. I'm just going to zigzag through that and put in test so that I know it's the one I've done today. Click on done and you can see test, and that's a brush. Open up a page. Here we go. Change it to a different color and do this. Now I can change the size down, make it even smaller so you can barely see it. Now you can see that if I go in a line, they're all separate still. So if I don't want them to be separate, if I want them to actually make a stroke per se, I can tap on here, I can alter this, go to my stroke path, and I can make my stroke spacing so it's a lot less. So now this is what I would get. All right. If I take it down even more, you get this effect. And if I ever so slightly wiggle my tip here, I can get something which looks a bit like a dandelion. If I wanted to do, for example, a patterned border, if I took that down and then put the spacing in between them, it would look like you expect it to look. I'll put this back up to, there we go, do that one. Clear this and do this. I'm going to show you something which is a little different, and that is what happens when you apply a grain to a stroke. So let's clear this, go into my brushes. I'm going to show you something like this, where you have a stroke but it has a pattern within it. So what I want to do is go to calligraphy, and I'm going to find down the bottom my script. Now when I mess around with a pen stroke, what I do is I duplicate it and then I mess around with the duplicate. So swipe to the left, duplicate. I'm going to play with this one here. It is really lovely if you're going to be doing lettering or ribbons, that sort of stuff. It's wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to go to my gallery. Now here, what I've done is I've just done some different patterns. So I made shapes and I just randomly drew patterns on, again, a 2048 by a 2048 pixel. So I'm going to go for this one. Now this one is done in different versions of opacity, so some of these are darker than others. All right. I am going to copy this. Now for textures, you want to work black on white, or whatever tone on white, whether it's black or grey or whatever, but you want to work on a white background preferably. So I'm going to go to my little wrench here. I'm going to go to add, copy canvas, there we go. So go to gallery, go to my new artwork here. Right, go to script 3, edit, import, paste, and here we have my new texture. Click on done. If I put the scale down, you start to see things happening on the right hand side. So now I'm going to click on done, come into here, and as you can see, you have a very pretty ribbony stroke. Now one thing that is important to know is that if you're doing a brush stroke in this manner, what you will end up with is a monochrome pattern. What do you do if you want to do brush stroke pattern but you want to have different colours in it? There's an easy way of doing that. If I want to make this stroke have a pattern and I want it to be a coloured pattern or a multicoloured pattern, then the easiest way of doing this is with a mask over the top. But it's a clipping mask. Let me show you what I mean. If I go into my gallery and I pick up this here and I copy that, and I come back in here. Okay, now this one here I'm going to duplicate because maybe I'm going to like the effect I make and maybe I'm not. And if I duplicate it, I can go back to my base and don't have to worry about it. I'm going to make this layer invisible, however, by tapping on it. So we can only see the one layer. So come into here and go paste, and this layer is over the top. Now, as it happens, it isn't actually big enough, and I can make that larger so that it does cover everything. What I want to do is to add another layer and then put a clipping mask onto it. And then when I drag the pink over, it's just going to colour those shapes, like so. So I can merge that down, so I've now got these in the right colour and it's just a movable layer as any other layer would be. And I can put a clipping mask on that, and then it confines it to the stroke that I have made. So the other way of getting a pattern over here would be to add some kind of brush. And so if I go to objects, I've got different shapes. Now I can pick up this one. I can change the colour to white, for example. And I can put another layer on here. I can put a clipping mask on. And then it's only going to be applied to my stroke. So that's various ways of getting a patterned stroke. You can make a patterned stroke, you can make a shaped stroke, you can make a stroke which has a pattern fill in it, you can apply a whole image over the top and clip it, or you can clip just strokes that you paint on top. a really, really good lesson to learn is how to use all of these different techniques. So the next thing I want to show you is how to combine two images and make them interweave. You can interweave two images, or you can interweave text with an image or with brushstrokes, whatever it is that you want to interweave it with. So we're going to start off with some text. So click on the wrench here and go to add text. Now to edit the text, double tap, and you can see if I go down here I've got the letter A. Okay, go for impact, that's quite a good one. I am going to go for a bigger font. Now when it comes to actually choosing the text that I want, if I tap on the keyboard I can delete that bit and put in hello. Right, I can make this layer a raster rather than a text layer, tapping on that and go to rasterize, and now it's just like any other image would be. So I want to add another layer to this. Maybe I go for this one. This one is a stroke which has got holly leaves. So let's see what this looks like. But first of all, I need to make sure that I am on a new layer. Okay, you don't want to do it on the same layer. Going to make it go like that. I want to make that a layer with an alpha lock. I then want to put another mask layer on here. Now I'll need to make sure that my color is set to black. So got my monoline here, got it in black. Now this will erase everything on that purple area that I touch. So the bits that I want behind the letters I need to erase. So the other thing that you can find handy, this stroke is opaque in parts and transparent in others, but what you can do is you can tap on this N and you can take the opacity down. So this becomes transparent for you to work on, and you can see exactly where you are going to be erasing. And so I can come in with my pencil and I can take out the bits that need to go behind. There we go. So that bit should be behind that letter there, I think. In front of there, behind here. This doesn't look wonderful at the moment, but when it gets to increase the opacity, you see the final effect, it can be really quite good. And that one is normal. So come up here and put the opacity right up. And you can see that we have our ribbon going backwards and forwards. I've got a little bit there that I missed, so I can go back in there. And there's a few bits in here I've missed. You can go over. But you can see that it is going through the letters, which is the result that we actually wanted. So on this example here, you can see that my ribbon has got transparent areas in it. I mean, it looks like it's black, but it's actually transparent. So you see the letters behind the holes as if they were cutouts. Now the reason that happens, and it was deliberate in this particular case, but the reason that happens is because I have used a grain which is black on white. If I show you the brush for this particular one, which is what I call Rose Script, this is the grain source that I have used. The shape itself is just the standard round shape. That was the calligraphy brush I believe I based it on. But the grain itself has got the rose pattern that I drew. And that rose pattern will be transparent if it's done black on white. If you don't want it to be fully transparent, if you colour it grey when you make your pattern, it will not be transparent, it will be a paler version of the colour that you are doing your stroke in. That's how it works. So that is basically how that is done. You can have an awful lot of fun with this. It really is quite addictive. That's it for today. I'll see you again soon. Take care now.